Throughout our lives, we are influenced by nearly everything we encounter. From a bump in the shoulder from a random passerby to our grandfather's nurturing wisdom, we're affected by everything in our proximity. For better or worse, the relationship between ourselves and said interactions can change us forever. No pressure. Whether we accept, decline, or reject, or simply let things pass by, we're subconsciously influenced. The hardest part about this is that some people can master the art of influencing others, and the fact that we would never notice that we're being influenced in the first place. Books such as How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, although it reads about influence in a more positive light when compared to this video's topic, quotes, "Every successful person loves the game, the chance to prove his worth, to excel, to win." Although I can quote nearly this entire book for current and future videos on the channel, I deduced the book to this one quote for the relevancy of this video and its direction. Simply put, people strive to work for their ultimate victory, but what if I asked you what your victory looks like? Is it money, fame, or both? When we meet Gabimaru the Hollow in Hell's Paradise, he struggles to give us an answer. The next part of this question to ask is, what are you good at? For a 6'2", 220-pound athletic male would be fitting for football, wrestling, or any type of prize fighting, or a protege having an IQ of 180 and beyond, being a grandmaster at chess. These attributes would simply help one's cause to achieve their ultimate worth, their ultimate victory. As finding our victory is part of life, realizing our strengths early on can allow external factors to influence our decisions. As if the same athlete I just stated was told by numerous people, "You're growing so big, you'll be a world champion one day." If you were that exact child, your mind would instantly be filled and limited to the goal of becoming a world champion. For Gabimaru, he is trained from a young age to become a great shinobi, having the desired physical attributes. This would be as simple as putting the last piece of the puzzle in place. Basically bred into a killing machine, he was equipped with the proper tools to be successful: apathy, efficiency, and dedication. His title, The Hollow, literally represents his lack of emotion when killing, his hollowed, emotionless soul. An early taste of success for Gabimaru was his title, The Hollow, and it being a select lineage of legendary shinobi, with Gabimaru being the 58th. Side note, while researching for this video, I found out that Gabimaru is also part of the title, Gabimaru the Hollow being the whole title, with his birth name being Suki or Saku depending on your translation, and that means moon. After becoming the latest title holder, Gabimaru was en route to becoming a legendary assassin. With this title, training consisted of being emotionless and efficient, to strip himself of personal pleasures and only find satisfaction in the completion of his duties. On a fateful day, he was rewarded with his dedication by being tasked with having his village chief's daughter's hand in marriage. This would cause problems for an apathetic murderer, as you would expect. Not that Gabimaru was abusive in any way, but the lifestyle of a married man and a murderous man are not congenial as you'd expect. Gabimaru's wife Yui, instead of accepting her husband the way he is, she shows him the ways of being sympathetic and emotional, two traits that would make Gabimaru less of the efficient killing machine that he's been molded into. As we learn more about Gabimaru's backstory in Season 1, we witness the influences of what you're raised to become. To continue the analogous athlete from the intro, think if the same 6'2" giant was introduced to the world of teaching. The physical advantages already possessed don't directly translate to this new pathway. The moment our world is met with resistance, anything out of our schema, our body goes into defense mode. Quite literally, the best comparison is when a foreign entity enters our immune system, our body combats it. When a baby cries to get what they want, they have another battle altogether. When the schema built up is challenged again when their parents tell them to use their words instead of crying because they're older. Schema is a cognitive framework that helps our brain organize and interpret our situations and information. When that schema is tested, our brain goes into defense mode. More on that defense system later. This internal conflict that Gabimaru has is not one different from us viewers, growing a sympathetic link between us and him, but we watch to see how he deals with his internal strife. We take a step back to analyze the world of Hell's Paradise. The world of Hell's Paradise serves as a motif that represents the conflict our influences place upon us, creating inner turmoil as we try to find our true identity and purpose. From a glance, death row convicts infatuated with violence and crime seem fitting for someone like Gabimaru. But we can't help but differentiate him from his new comrades. Why? Each convict set on the mission to find the elixir by the shogunate is a mission that spirals Gabimaru's internal struggle. Although we don't go in depth for each character's backstory, Gabimaru was separated by the rest of the violent bunch because we see his reasoning. His reasons for completing this mission is an example of cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when our mind's logic is faced with conflicting information. We aim to resolve this by returning to a state of equilibrium by any means necessary. For example, hating liars but justifying why you just lied to your parents because the truth would hurt their feelings. In Gabimaru's case, he uses having to get his wife back to justify the necessary violence required to complete this mission. But wait, getting back to someone you love? That isn't something an apathetic assassin should say, right? So, Gabimaru's internal struggle is pushed to the forefront. All the while, his assigned assailant, Sagiri, doesn't help the cause. Taking a step back from Gabimaru, the world set upon the convicts is another showcase of the world being a conveyor for the show's themes. With each criminal being extrinsically motivated along with their assigned assailant executioner, these unlikely duos try to retrieve the elixir by any means. Some duos work together. This could possibly exemplify higher powers using the ones at the bottom of the totem pole for their dirty work, not caring how it's done as long as they get what they want. The theme of manipulation on an overlooking grand scale such as this, and Gabimaru's past influences, can be compared here. Sagiri, Gabimaru's assigned assailant, grows a relationship with him. The two are damaged individuals that find fulfillment in each other, a juxtaposition, and not in an incomplete way, but a circle of relationships that push and pull where one is needed and one is detrimental. I want to touch on their relationship soon, but I want to shift our focus to the relationship aspect as we transition to the show's power system, Tao. The power system of Tao is represented as a yin and yang, a cycle that requires opposites to function: strength and weakness, stillness and motion, rage and calmness. As we learn more about the island and the importance of Tao, we begin to find these relationships, as the titles of each episode are structured as blank and blank, even with the show's title being a necessary dichotomy, hell and paradise. We recognize these everyday balances. The very lesson Gabimaru must learn to grow and have his shonen anime power-up moment of learning Tao is to come to the realization that the flow of life, the normalcy of us all, is to have these balances. The initial belief of raw strength, speed, and apathy tips the scales too much to one side. With Gabimaru obviously having the physical strength for Tao, he must become weak and vulnerable, emotional. Other examples of the ebb and flow in Hell's Paradise are even disguised underneath typical anime tropes. With the blind swordsman, Shion, I don't care how you guys call him, Shion, I'm calling him Shion because it's fire. It just sounds cooler that way, okay? Shion being an obvious overpowered fan favorite, his ability to see while blind is an example of sensory compensation. Sensory compensation is the process of neural and behavioral reorganization following sensory loss. In layman's terms, another aspect of our body working more to cover for a weaker area. For the blind, the brain realizes that it's not using as much occipital power and uses its temporal power for heightened hearing. As a result, a working function is set as two opposites work together and become one functional machine. As Tao is the function of the island, Shion uses waves to hear and see while his eyes are blind. The brothers Chobei and Toma are another example of functional opposite relationships. On the surface, Chobei and Toma have a braid on each side, mirroring one another's. Where Chobei is an arrogant and impulsive young man, Toma is the calculated, modest younger brother, seemingly reliant on Chobei. But when combined, the two are arguably one of the most deadly duos on the island. Again, this is anime only. Keep the spoilers to yourself in the comments. Thank you. These are examples of how great storytelling can utilize side characters and world building to create motifs that consistently give hints to themes conveyed. How relationships flow and compensate. They can also be interpreted as two pillars of support for the opposing force. The symbolism of water is essential for its malleable features. Its versatility in being able to fill and divide, move and be still, are the characteristics necessary to strive and progress. This symbolism of water could possibly be attributed to Bruce Lee, as one of his most famous quotes is, "Empty your mind, be formless, shapeless, like water." Back to Gabimaru. The conflict that he faces is related to the very relationships of his internal strife. In specific moments like the early episode when Gabimaru has Sagiri dead to rights, he is stopped by an internal conflict. If you're not strong, you can't protect anything, is stated as Gabimaru has Sagiri on the end of his blade, but as he doesn't follow through. This moment of conflict shows his schema under heavy fire. I asked myself, why does this statement carry so much weight for Gabimaru? And after reflecting, I now know why. Relating the statement back to the previous analysis of Tao, we can think of the statement from a new lens. Credit to the storytelling. Being strong is subjective in its own right, but we know that it can typically be accredited to protection. But in this specific moment, Gabimaru feels that Sagiri is a nuisance to his mission, that she's dead weight that must be released. From Sagiri's perspective, this is the same dismissal she's faced all her life. Gabimaru attempts to end her, but he can't bring himself to do so. Where Gabimaru struggles with his emotions surfacing, showing weakness, Sagiri sees that her emotions and struggles can be strengthened by accepting herself to bloom. To be strong is to accept our other side, the side that can balance our opposite. This is one of the first moments Gabimaru has seen the weakness needed to eventually achieve Tao and become genuinely stronger. Therefore, he spares Sagiri, accepting her aid, and the duo become a power couple on the island to achieve both of their mission. The moment Gabimaru learns Tao is the episode Weak and Strong. He is given a quick lesson from Mei. She teaches him the balance of opposites, the yin-yang relationship required for Tao. With Tao being the power system in Hell's Paradise, it's the ultimate power. Gabimaru learns strong, fruit of weak, weak, seed of strong. Think that too much money can create a spoiled brat, and in order to become strong, we have to recognize our weaker lifts in the gym and begin the process of increasing our PR. Hence, a weak and strong mindset is required for Tao. The ever-flowing cycle of these opposites create a balance within ourselves to become our ultimate heightened selves. Gabimaru learning Tao in the later episodes is the symbolic representation of that. Because Gabimaru already has the physical attributes for battle, he learns that emotion, the very weakness he's inept to, is the required component to grow. In this very scene, Gabimaru thinks back to him almost killing Sagiri. The moment it all clicks, when he achieves Tao, is when Gabimaru realizes why he didn't kill Sagiri. For love or simple companionship is irrelevant, but the connection he has with her and the others to work together shows Gabimaru's selfish and apathetic traits diminishing. To mathematically sum up this analysis, let's recap. Gabimaru was raised to believe that emotion makes you weak. Being weak means you can't accomplish your necessary duties. You're simply inadequate. Emotion makes you hesitate. Gabimaru can't be emotional because then he'd never see his wife again. To accomplish this feat, he must be strong, but things don't seem to add up. His typical strength, Gabimaru's 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4, when he tries to stick his usual schema and what he's been raised to believe up until this point. He can't figure out how to solve this equation. When he realizes that he must grow not in physical strength, but in emotional strength to become more powerful, he figures out the answer. The world of Hell's Paradise shows themes of influence, balance, and identity. These themes are the driving force for its characters. If the plot of the show is the train tracks established, the themes sit on the train as they move down the path. When Sagiri questions her authority as they belittle her, making her feel inadequate, she must realize that her talents are enough. If she'd ignore the external voices telling her that she lacks raw strength, she'd see that her speed and expertise compensates. The influence of external voices can steer our identity astray, but we must use it to find balance to grow beyond. Before I finish, I want to point out that this essay is created after Season 1, and in the end of Season 1, with Season 2 coming around the corner, we are left with a twist to ponder as we wait in anticipation. The suggestion that Gabimaru's wife, Yui, being an illusion or not can mean two things. If she is real, she obviously serves as a MacGuffin for Gabimaru as he strives to get back to her. If she isn't real, she's the personification of Gabimaru's growth, the symbol of Gabimaru's struggle with accepting emotion and realizing that love and sympathy is not weak, but an honorable juxtaposition to his physical prowess, creating an ideal protector. Regardless, Yui represents empathy, emotion, and free thought. Free thought because using emotion is directly opposite to what Gabimaru's commanding powers have taught him. Where they use manipulation to shackle him as a slave, Yui shows Gabimaru his opinions and feelings do have weight, that he is more than just a killing machine. Referring back to the Carnegie quote of every successful person loves the game, the chance to prove his worth, to excel, to win. Gabimaru is introduced to us as a manipulated man, believing that a particularly influenced win is his worth. His influences throughout the show prove to him that he's more than someone else's win, that his worth resides within himself if he'd fully embrace it. With strengths and weaknesses together in harmony, he forms a new perspective. Gabimaru sees that to prove his worth excels beyond killing and into an emotionally competent person. With this newly improved Gabimaru, he becomes the ultimate protector, teammate, and husband, opposite of his past. That is how Gabimaru wins. Sincerely, Will.